All right, here we go. Things are starting to get a little bit more interesting on the Jimmy Garoppolo trade front. This is the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. My name is Chase Sr. Appreciate all of you for watching today's show. Could Jimmy Garoppolo get traded to the Cleveland Browns? Well, according to Mary Kay Cabot, the most respected Browns reporter, Cleveland will consider a trade if Deshaun Watson's suspension rises significantly. This is something that we've continued to talk about over the last couple of weeks and months because the Browns do make sense as a Jimmy Garoppolo trade destination, and for this to come from Mary Kay Cabot, it is very much significant. Now, you look at the Cleveland Browns quarterback depth chart, and this is why Garoppolo to Cleveland makes a lot of sense. Watson, obviously, quarterback number one, expected to start for Cleveland in their first preseason game if the NFL's appeal doesn't come through with an even larger suspension than that 6-game ruling from Judge Sue Robinson. But after Watson, who's a top 10 quarterback in this league, the question marks start to come to the forefront. Jacoby Brissett, Josh Dobbs, 49ers legend Josh Rosen rounding out the quarterback room. And there's no question that Jimmy Garoppolo is the better quarterback for a team that's ready to win, ready to compete for a playoff spot, and ready to help you survive a long Deshaun Watson suspension if it comes down as compared to Jacoby Brissett and Josh Dobbs. Here's why I've continued to say why Garoppolo to Cleveland makes a lot of sense and why it could work. Cleveland has put together a really good roster. Their young general manager, Andrew Berry, a Howie Roseman disciple from the Philadelphia Eagles. He's considered to be one of the brightest and youngest general managers in the NFL. He's put together a really good roster that has all of these pieces that point to the Browns competing right now in a locked and loaded AFC and a really good AFC North. So if you're without Deshaun Watson, you need a quarterback who can at least help you keep your head above water, win a lot of games if that suspension lasts a long time. Garoppolo does that well, winning 71% of his starts with the San Francisco 49ers. Garoppolo also caters to the Browns' strengths and what they do well. Kevin Stefanski's offense, very run power heavy. That's exactly what Kyle Shanahan likes to do, and that's what Shanahan has been able to do with Garoppolo as the starting quarterback over the last couple of years. No, Garoppolo is not a quarterback who you want to drop back 30, 50 times week in and week out. You need to rely on that ground game. You need to have a good offensive line for the run game and pass protection, and you need to have some good weapons. The Cleveland Browns have all of that, and Kevin Stefanski's scheme very similar with what Kyle Shanahan wants to do. So the scheme fit for Garoppolo does make a lot of sense if he were to get traded to the Cleveland Browns. And that roster has been put together in a way where Garoppolo can kind of play point guard a little bit and be familiar with that Kevin Stefanski scheme as compared to Kyle Shanahan. So for all of these reasons and more, Garoppolo to Cleveland makes a lot of sense. Lastly, though, this is what it comes down to. Garoppolo has that base salary of $24+ million, that cap hit of 26.9, and currently there is one team in the National Football League who can take on Garoppolo's base salary without a restructure. It's the Browns, nearly $49 million in cap space. Right around the corner, we're going to dive into that Mary Kay Cabot report. There's so much to unpack, the legality of it, and the significance that it plays for the Niners. But first, I want to hear from the faithful in the comment section right now. This is a big story, no doubt about it. What is the percent chance that Jimmy G gets traded prior to the season? This will be the pinned comment on today's video. If you get hit with that YouTube ad break, use it to your advantage. Scroll on down and get your votes in. By the time you do that, we'll be back talking about what Mary Kay Cabot said in that report. As for what she did entail, on Cleveland.com, the NFL appealed the 6-game suspension handed down August 1st by NFL disciplinary officer Sue Robinson, who described Watson's behavior with multiple massage therapists in 2020 and 21 as, quote, egregious and predatory. She continued by saying, Roger Goodell, NFL commissioner, during an interview to wrap up a league meeting this week in Minneapolis, repeated those words and reiterated why the NFL has appealed for the year-long ban. What the translation basically there is that the NFL wants a harsher punishment for Deshaun Watson. More games than the 6. There's also the financial element that comes into play. If Watson is suspended the entire year, the Browns aren't affected financially at all because his contract rolls over, and there are very little, if any, financial penalties for the individual who is being questioned here in Deshaun Watson. And here's where Garoppolo starts to enter the fold. More from Mary Kay Cabot in this report. She did report back several weeks ago that the Browns were not interested in Garoppolo. Now, those things have changed to a certain degree. To this point, she said, the Browns, who will start Watson in Jacksonville on Friday night, if he's not suspended indefinitely by then, have been all in on Jacoby Brissett as the replacement for Watson. But the paradigm will shift if Harvey increases the suspension to double-digit games. That's the person appointed by the NFL, by the way, or the year-long ban the NFL is seeking, along with a substantial fine and treatment for what it's deemed a disturbing pattern of behavior. Lastly, at that point, the Browns will explore all of their options as they always do in these particular situations. And Garoppolo is the only accomplished veteran on the market. Given permission to seek a trade by the Niners, who are turning the team over to Trey Lance, Garoppolo at 30 years old can likely be acquired by the Browns for a mid to later round pick. And this is what I've always said. Jimmy Garoppolo to the Browns makes perfect sense. This roster is equipped to win right now in a really good AFC and a loaded AFC North. If Watson gets suspended for a long period of time, I just don't believe that the Browns are comfortable with handing over the keys to Jacoby Brissett for a long period of time. If the suspension is between 4 and 6 games, then yes, Jacoby Brissett is good enough and capable enough to help at least the Browns keep their heads above water. But if Watson's suspension is longer than 6 games, which is what the NFL appears to want, then Garoppolo can enter the fold in Cleveland with a really good ground game, really good offensive line, good players at the skill positions, really good defense, a very good head coach who runs a similar system to Kyle Shanahan, and he'll be able to master that offense very seamlessly and provide the Browns with better and more consistent quarterback play as compared to Jacoby Brissett. So that's why I've said all along that Garoppolo to the Browns makes a lot of sense, and for Mary Kay Cabot to report that today is certainly very interesting and very important for the Niners. If you're subscribed to us here on the channel, we still have a lot to get to on Garoppolo, but I want you to type Real One in the comment section because we're the largest 49ers news and rumors channel on YouTube, and we continue to push out content every single day and sometimes multiple videos per day. And we're not a channel that's going to throw out minute or two clips. We go long with our analysis because it's really my duty and my passion to give you the best 49ers coverage on the entire internet. So if you're subscribed, greatly appreciate that. Type Real One in the comment section. And if you haven't subscribed, do so right now by heading to youtube.com/49erstv. What you can expect from us: news, rumors, analysis, breaking news. When big reports come out like this, we bring you the best. And tomorrow, by the way, preseason schedule getting underway against the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, we're going to be doing a watch party. It's going to be awesome. I hope all of you join us. Speaking of all the real ones, get yourself a t-shirt right now, available in red as well as black, rocking those 49ers colors. It's very easy. All you have to do is go to chatsports.com/real149. If you want to let everybody know that you're a real one, that you're a big supporter of San Francisco as well as the 49ers report, get yourself some merchandise. I'll put that link in the comment section and the description of this video. Now, as we know, or at least a lot of people know, Mike Silver, formerly of NFL Network, now has a job with the San Francisco Chronicle. And he's written a couple of really good pieces to start off his tenure with the Chronicle, the largest newspaper on the West Coast, by the way, which is pretty impressive. He detailed in his most recent piece how Garoppolo kind of ghosted the organization after he landed that big contract, something that a lot of people didn't realize or know. Here's what he had to say in the Chronicle. At a jubilant press conference carried live by NFL Network, the man who'd been dubbed Jimmy Jesus during a resplendent 5-game stretch to close out the 2017 season sat between John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan and told his bosses in America, "I'm excited for this year, but like John said, we've got a lot of work to do, so we're looking forward to it." But when the press conference ended, Garoppolo shook hands, flashed his multi-million-dollar smile, and disappeared into the offseason ether. That important work, to his coach's chagrin, would have to wait. Once he left that press conference, nobody heard from him for weeks and weeks, recalled one member of that coaching staff. He didn't return calls. He didn't return texts. He basically just vanished. And we were looking at each other like, what just happened? Now, Garoppolo is a little bit of an interesting and unique dude. It is not uncommon for him to just not talk to his teammates the entire offseason. There was an interview with George Kittle once the Niners came back from offseason activities when he said, I haven't talked to Jimmy Garoppolo all summer. He hasn't even responded to my texts. And George Kittle and Jimmy G are said to be very tight. So Jimmy G doesn't even stay in touch with some of his teammates during the offseason. And the same can be said for his coaching staff, because Kyle Shanahan also said at one point this offseason, haven't gotten in touch, haven't talked to Jimmy Garoppolo. So a little bit of a surprise, maybe not the best move after you land that big contract, which at the time made him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, interesting stuff that we wanted to pass along on top of that Mary Kay Cabot report. So are you surprised by it? I was, just a little bit. If you are and you're with me, type S for surprised. If you don't care at all, that's fine. Let us know in the comments section, WC for who cares. Thanks for watching today's show. Subscribe to the channel. Tune in tomorrow for our Packers-Niners watch party.